Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Esosa Johnson. She's founder at Accelerator Con and co-founder at Black Women Talk Tech. So we're gonna talk tech today. She has a cool background, worked at various companies, not her first startup. She founded a bunch, really innovative mind right here. She's in Puerto Rico. I am in Mexico. This podcast is brought to you by podfire.com. That's my podcasting company. If you want to start and scale podcasts, go to podfire.com. Esosa, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I would look forward to sharing a little bit more about me and what my background is. Esosa Johnson. I am originally from New York City, but I moved to Puerto Rico about 2 years ago now with my husband and my young daughter, who's two. I started out actually, my background actually started out in banking. I was in finance for nearly 7 years in the consumer bank side. And I got bored to tears. Like, oh my God. My goodness. I was like, all we cared about was really shuffling PowerPoints and sounding interesting in meetings. And I was like, I do not care about this anymore. And then everyone was playing like Temple Run. And I was like, oh, what is this like situation? I found out that the average person playing Temple Run at one point was the age 28, and they were making over 100,000 a year, and they're paying like $50 or more per game just playing for like level ups for like a 2D character to do this. I was floored. So I wanted to figure out what is this world of technology. So I only knew one other friend in technology at the time. So he was in Microsoft and he decided to leave to start this app company. And I was like, oh, wow, this is circa like 2012, 11. And so it was very, very early in terms of like wanting to do this life with technology. I ended up randomly meeting my co-founder on the subway of New York City, and we decided to create a company in 6 months. It was called Cosign. It was an image recognition company that allowed you to build recommend products through your posts that you share on social media, and we'd use the metadata tags to allow us to scale our ML background of image recognition. So we could tell you, hey, it's a shirt, it's a cat, it's a couch. And we were trying to put other layer of data into it, whether you can say, hey, this what brand of couch or what the cost was. And very hard problem to solve. But I was a rambunctious 26-year-old and I was like, I'm going to solve this problem. And we did not solve the problem after a few years and a $1.5 million roughly raised. But we learned a lot in the process. And it actually led me to creating Black Women Talk Tech, which is now an 8-year organization started in New York City, of Black women who were building the largest scalable businesses in the world, and primarily tech. And so if you're building a technology startup, we want to help give you access to capital, get you access to connections, give you a platform to get visibility, and then of course access to capital. It's no secret that VC is not funding women or people of color really. So we try to find a way to change that and build relationships to connect with the right founders. And so I've been doing that for 8 years. We're mostly known for our Roadmap to Billions conference series that's out of New York. It's coming up May 16th through the 18th. And so we are looking for everyone to come join us at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and it's at roadmapcivilians.co to find out more. The cool thing too is, after sort of building that ecosystem, and now we're the largest network of Black founders in the world, we realized like there are just so many ways to skin a cat and to build innovation that it's nuts. I mean, I realize now how hard it is for a VC to really make a difference or find these companies and be able to decide. I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to become a machine. So it's been very interesting and telling on that end. I think more recently we were in an accelerator program as Black Women Talk Tech. It's called the EYEAN program, which is a 12-month program within E&Y. And then I am also now a venture scout for Zal Capital Partners. So I get 100,000 to invest in 4 companies at earliest stage, pre-seed stage. And so that's what's like fully impacted my days in the last couple of days, including, saying my copious amounts of spare time. I also have Accelerator Con, where I am bringing all the accelerators under one roof because I found that most founders can't name more than 5 accelerators, and there's nearly 3,200 in the US alone. And so I wanted to give more deal flow for accelerators and more discovery for founders. And so that's what I'm doing with Accelerator Con. And that is it.
Well, that's amazing. That's my type of founder. Okay, how will you reach the billion dollar status, the unicorn status yourself? I love the startup ecosystem. I'm also onto it myself, but how will you reach the billion?
So, there's a lot of factors before you reach $1 billion. Everyone knows that that is the North Star for most technology startups. They want to become the unicorn, this real, literally a fictitious character of really being able to be valued at $1 billion or get sold at $1 billion or more. And a lot of factors have to do with that. Of course, market timing, having the right investors, if that is your goal. And then also just being able to build a real strong team, a great problem that you're solving in a big market, and then having the partners to help you get there to the next level of whether that is selling it or IPOing. And so we try to talk about it from the earliest of stages, right? So there's a lot of information out there that is part of all over the internet, but it's not really organized in a way that is meaningful, that can drive help for an individual who's looking to grow their company. So we try our best to create a space where you can do that on our platform. So we have a membership platform online where we guide and give organization around like what you need to think about as you're building a company and growing it for scale. Because sometimes people try to scale or build from day one for scale when you don't even have that level of traction yet, so it's not necessary. But how to think about that before you even consider your pipeline or product roadmap, right? Or even how to think about not even writing a line of code at all and doing wireframing instead, so that you get a sense of the user experience and not have to do a bunch of rework or paying people. But now the generative AI, soon we don't even need coders anymore. We're just gonna you're going to speak to code like it's starting already, and it'll be very easy to use AI to code just about anything for you. So it's a really unique age and time of being able to build today with using AI because it's so accessible to everyone.
And who are some of the best founders that you've helped so far? What characteristics do they have?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Some of the founders we have in our platform that have built such incredible solutions to problems they see in the world. So, an example is like Jessica Matthews. She created essentially uncharted play that became uncharted power. So, just to give you a little bit about her story, she started creating energy out of kinetic energy. So you could play with a basketball or play with a jump rope, and it would power energy in your house for 30 minutes or to an hour or 3 hours based on you working out and playing with these toys. And so that really worked well in developing nations where she worked a lot in. But now she's now powering kinetic energy through several different types of material. So it went from actual toys and things you can play with to actual like kinetic energy from the like concrete and just or kinetic energy from buildings in the walls. So building a lot of green tech and support solutions. So now she's a full-fledged power company, which is like freaking amazing. Like you don't really hear about those type of companies, right? Like it's usually only hear about like software companies that are like that grew overnight. And she's been building her company now almost 10 years now. And she came up around the same time when I was building mine. It was just, I love her story because it's like, here's a problem that she was innovative in and has grown that solution. A couple other companies that have grown are exciting is like she changed the name of her company. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, what is her new company name? But like, she had essentially a new technology platform for supporting alimony. So, for example, if you had challenges with your partner and you were trying to get, alimony support or child support or any of that, there was actually no platform for that. And so she created the first ever platform. And within the first 6 months of her building that, she did $3 million in sales. Like, it was bananas, and she's been skyrocketing ever since. And her old name was called, and it's not this anymore. So it's funny when you say it, but it was called "Don't Get Mad, Get Paid." And that was hilarious. Of course, she's changed it because that was not a name that is a whole phrase. But but I remember that as being one of the cool companies that I remember and love. There's definitely also some newer platforms where more traditional nature, where there's like math coding apps where it helps you develop your child learning. And they have well over 10 million users leveraging the application every day, and growing fast paced. And they've been around only like 2-3 years. So just like her name is Edna Jane, and she has been building it out in Ohio. So just really being able to it's exciting to see, not just being on the coast, but actually having platforms like in the middle of the country and beyond.
How do you split your time between Accelerator Con and Black Women Talk Tech?
You know what? It's not easy, but the great part about being able to split my time is that a lot of the conversations are circular. A lot of times I can have the same conversation in the same meeting. Like, if you're an accelerator, I can offer you opportunities on the Black Women Talk Tech side as well as Accelerator Con. So it just depends on who I'm talking to and if it meets their needs. And the great thing too is Accelerator Con is just one event a year, which is pretty reasonable for me. Versus like Black Women Talk Tech is like 36 events a year. So it's like a lot more intense on this side. And we have like a full team, and I have teams on both sides. So that's how I'm able to manage both. But I try to be very forward thinking around my time and how to make sure I manage it effectively. So I'm really big on productivity. So I have a ton of productivity hacks, including how to leverage like an EA properly, or how to manage your time every week, and how to multiply and scale yourself. I'm a big component of it's really hard to hire someone if you don't actually, if your first hire isn't an EA and you don't really know how to delegate tasks and have them to support you. It's really hard to support the business as a whole, because then you don't really know the playbook of what to do that there and beyond. So it makes your life a lot easier. And I also automate just about as much as I can. I would automate myself if I could, like, you know what I mean? Like, I automate just about everything. So I have a lot of automation that helps me balance between the two.
Right. And both businesses, they fuel on sponsors. How do you find these?
Yeah, it's a very good question. A lot of people ask me about sponsorship in general. And generally, when we think about sponsorship, the big part about identifying people who would make sense for your audience is it's important to make sure that you identify the top like 20 people you want to sponsor your event and why, and make sure that your target audience serves their goals, the people they want to meet or people they want to market to. And then you just serve that up to them. And so a big part of it is just outreach. And the lucky part for me is because we've been doing it for so long, we get a lot more inbound. And then also for Accelerator Con, which is the newer entity that's just been around 6 months, there's a lot of crossover people I already know that easily can sponsor and have sponsored Accelerator Con on both sides. So that makes it a little bit easier. But anyone can do this. Anyone can identify who was looking for the audience you're convening and offer them an opportunity to get in front of them, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to get eyeballs in a more dedicated format where it's in person, which is different from running a ton of ads, or it probably is cheaper to run ads, but it's harder to do so depending on your group. So for example, it's not as easy to find over thousands of Black women building scalable tech companies in one place using ads, right? Like it's not as easy to do that. And so it's really a strong value proposition to have them in one place. And anyone who's looking for that customer or user base, we can draw them in and give them different packages to want to sponsor and connect. But using LinkedIn is really all I use. Like you can use LinkedIn and navigate through getting introductions in the early days, or you can use tools like Apollo or these sales enrichment tools that help you get contact information so you can reach out directly to people who potentially could buy into your concept or event.
Scouting, how did you get into it, and what's the opportunity on that level?
Say that last part again.
Scouting, how did you get into it, and what's the opportunity of being a scout? Is it learning from all these startups, getting pitched 20 times a day? Like, what's the advantage or beneficial lever into engaging to scouting?
Yeah, for becoming a scout, there's lots of great advantages to becoming a scout. And it's so interesting you asked me this question, because it's actually not a common position, but it is one of the positions you can better help you if your goal is to be in VC, well, either whether working in VC or become a partner, raising your own fund, and being able to learn what your investment thesis is. And so I was already a scout for a London VC firm called Ada Ventures early in the days. And now this year, I just luckily became a scout for Zal Capital Partners with their partnerships with Barclays and the bank, which we're really excited about, being able to write checks of 25K to early stage companies who have a Black founder as a part of the C-suite, and within certain categories that they're looking to, find great deals so they can continuously invest in that startup and their growth. And one of the biggest part about it is one second. And one of the biggest parts of being a scout that is often unique is that a lot of times you get paid on the background, which you get carry. So one of the benefits is like if you choose the right startup correctly and they do well, you can get carry on the back end, just like a normal venture fund that would get 2 and 20. And that's always agreed upon the agreements that you sign with each partner firm you do this with. But it's a great opportunity to build your investment thesis of like, what are the type of companies you want to invest in, what sector, what check size, or what stage, and really, if there is a subsector, like, so for example, I'm researching and doing market maps on two particular sectors that I'm really interested in investing in, because I have more of an ML background. I'm really interested in a lot of these newer AI companies that I can directly invest and support based on my network and understanding. And then, I really love vertical SaaS. Like there's a ton of, industries out there that don't have technologies to support them through the entire experience. And so I'd love to see unique opportunities in those spaces where I can be helpful and have a lot of partner networks to support companies in. But yeah, it's exciting because when it comes to the venture capital space, there's not a ton of roles you can really get there. It's usually smaller teams, and so if you're not platform or analyst or a partner or actually writing checks, there's not that many people left that you can kind of fill in that role. So especially with some of the larger firms that even have that many. I think some of the largest VC firms like may have up to 300 people. At max, I haven't seen anyone larger than that. So it's not, the average is usually under 10, under 6 people. So yeah.
Why are VCs are not investing in underrepresented folks, and what are they missing out?
So a lot of VCs always chop it up to be it's about pipeline. They can't find founders, or there aren't any qualified ones, or they make all sorts of excuses. But the problem with not investing in diverse founders is you're just leaving not only are you just leaving so much money on the table because it's about the investment and return of it, but you can't really source a problem that's going to help or impact billions of people and not have that be a part of the design process or the people who design solutioning for that problem. And so if you really want to have some of the best ideas be generated by some of the most courageous and incredible entrepreneurs out there, they just all have to look different, right? They all have to have different backgrounds. Just to find the virtue of this in general. And so I think that is the biggest thing. And there's just so much data and statistics out there already that tell you investing in women, you're likely to have a higher return on investment by some numbers from 12% all the way to 35% higher. And that's across the board from women to people of color, respectively. So there are just so many opportunities, and it's always in their best interest to invest in diverse founders.
Where can people find out more about you, Esosa?
Yeah, you can find out more about us at Black Women Talk Tech, all social media platforms, as well as blackwomentalktech.com or acceleratorcon.com or accelerator con on all social platforms.